You heard some of my assumptions in earlier interventions. I used a metaphor. I didn't call it a transition. I called it a soft landing. The point I'm trying to make is the following, that while an aircraft is diving and while there is no pilot in the cabin, it's very difficult to change the route of the aircraft and to move it to another destination. We can manage the two in a way in case we do the soft landing. In the meantime, we can already design the next route and the next destination. Let me start with the early part, why I am pessimistic and why I see a very narrow path, and this path is closing down as we speak. The area I am coming from is the regulation of weapons of mass destruction. And if I look through that prism of the state of play concerning what is there as a liability and what are the means we can handle, this is where I'm getting very pessimistic. I try to look into cycles in the area of security, competitive versus cooperative. And I try to apply in a very rudimentary way market trend terminology. And what I see based on this comparison is if I take periods of competitive bull market, we are in a competitive security bull market. What is even more, we are in a secular competitive security bull market. Potentially started somewhere in the mid-1990s. And I don't think it's bottomed out. And the way we are going is if we don't do something about that, I called it potentially, and this is one of the futures. There are different scenarios. This is one of the futures, but I think we have to speak out. This might be the mother of all crashes if we crash on what we have piled up in this airplane. As we are moving forward with this diving of the airplane, we are refueling even in the air and adding more fuel. I don't have the time. I have slides. I can mention to you, number one, the nuclear weapons did not come sufficiently, but there is a 5 times higher amount of plutonium and uranium compared to the highest peak in the Cold War of nuclear weapons, nuclear warheads. 5 times more. 300,000 worth of plutonium and uranium. This is for military purposes. This is, in a way, one of the appearances of the externalities, a big negative externality, but this is what it is. And it's growing exponentially, okay? It's growing exponentially as we speak. The nuclear industry is flat, the growth, and this number is soon hitting the roof. There are other dimensions. I don't have the time. I can go to some of the biological weapons, biotechnology-related regulations, and there is a trend as well. If for a moment we set aside the potential weapon stockpiles, hopefully there are very few, then there are certain challenges from the biotech pharmacy area. And I can refer you later to a list in a publication, which is enumerating probably on nearly 5 pages with line items some of the challenges posed by this negative externality. On one hand, blessings, tremendous blessings, at the same time, things which, in case the situation is deteriorating, will become very significant liabilities, which will again add up on the top of each other, nuclear, biological, chemical, dual use, and there are certain force multiplier platforms. This is the ICT area, and this is the automation, automatic weapon system. So I do not want to waste more time on that. The interesting element for this discussion is the following. Is there a link, is there a potential link between some of the cycles in security and the cycles in the economic area? And don't be lost in this chart. This is just showing the ups and downs. And Barry is the most knowledgeable person on cycles. The question is, in case this bottoming out, what we would like to see, is delayed, or there is a further dipping in the economic, banking, financial default, and other areas would mean more trouble. If it is happening, what is the relationship between the economic, financial area and the security area? Without stretching this link too far and without becoming deterministic about the economy running directly the security developments, in my judgment, there is a strong correlation, okay, very strong correlation. I mentioned in the previous VAS meeting Joshua Goldstein, who did the research. He was one of the few here who really tried to bring the two together. And the finding he made is there is a certain correlation going back nearly for 400 or 500 years. And yes, there are major power wars, happening very close in the majority of the cases to major economic and financial dysfunctionalities. Okay? And the interesting element he's finding is that it's not happening at the bottom, but it's happening when the recovery is on an upswing. Okay? And he didn't stretch the point too far. My own pedestrian explanation is that in many of the cases, at least in the recent history, there was an arms race component which helped the picking up of the economy. So there was artificial injection, be it in the 1890s through the naval armament, and be it in the 1930s as a result of the necessary preparations, what became inevitable. The point between these two elements is interesting from the point of view, what is the transformation from one area to another? So what is the firewire between these two areas? And we had longer discussions earlier. My feeling is that the worst is when the different layers of the different dominoes of the crisis falling are really pushing a domino which for me is absolutely important. And this is I do not have a better word, but the collective mindset. Okay, collective mindset at the national level, collective mindset at the regional level, or collective mindset, nowadays it's much easier to speak about that globally speaking. Okay, how, using simple words, how frustrated people are with whatever reasons are there. And in these crisis in plural situations, they have many reasons to be frustrated. Based on that, I'm very pessimistic because I'm pessimistic in general about the liabilities existing there. Okay, that's one pessimism. But the additional layer of pessimism right now is that this firewire is becoming more and more like we are putting oil on it. Okay, adding oil on it. And the spark always happens in situations like that. So it's whatever history will produce will happen. So what we have to do is to do something about this collective mindset. And for the collective mindset, I see one segment of it which is extremely important in my judgment. This is the youth. Okay, what is the situation with the younger generation? Because if historically we look back and you hear it from a non-academic point of view, a non-practitioner point of view, I see a very strong phenomenon of hijacking the younger generation in the middle of the crisis somewhere in the 1890s and hijacking the younger generation, the mindset of them being influenced from the 1920s onwards, okay? And once it's done, it's extremely difficult to turn it back. It's running its course, and it was tragic. It was tragic in both situations, pre-First World War and the Second World War. So what I will now try to quickly address is something which is beyond my league of knowledge, but I don't see that within the time frame we have, we can fix through regulations, through cooperative regulations, the arms part of it. As an insider, I spent 40 years of my professional time with some overlap on regulation. I was chairing for probably 40 years conferences. And take it from me, the speed, what we are following, is not commensurate with how much should be done. There is progress and we can describe it, okay? So the time is not sufficient to handle the situation from that point of view. There is something in the hands of economic and financial experts. And no one can guarantee that with the deterioration of the situation, it will be under control. So I am trying to focus on this mindset, on the mindset of the younger generation, and I will try to bring up some numbers to demonstrate that what are some of the quantitative numbers which do not bode well if we would like to cut the fire wire between the accumulated stockpiles and liabilities and the spark which might be igniting the war. So these are some of the numbers. So the higher number is nearly 300 million younger generation people under $4 per day existence, 73 million unemployed. Each and every year, 40 million new entrants to this unemployment market. Okay, during this Dubrovnik conference, 500,000 new entrants in the unemployment market. So while we were talking, there is another 500,000 young people aggravating the situation. This is my notion. This is an SOS call, because again, what I see in other areas, the time is not sufficient to adjust the trends which are going there. SOS stands for something else as well. Some colleagues saw from me a proposal. We will discuss tomorrow in the executive committee of the academy the proposal. I will describe the proposal from my point of view. So it shouldn't be taken that this is something which is officially blessed, besides I myself convinced during shaving myself that it's a good proposal. Okay? This is about this generation, the next generation. And my question is, instead of waiting for these things with a huge amount of luck to work out, whether we could try to do something. So I'm trying to ask questions now, whether there could be something done about this 75 million unemployed, growing each and every year by 40 million. I extended a bit the time age because the 73 million is up to 25 years. So if you take this time age bracket, it's much higher than that. And the very trivial question is, can we do something more, like employing and enrolling them and training them and educating them and creating replicable good practices of mass employment and mass empowerment at community and cross-boundary level? Is it really the best of the world we are living right now in terms of how we are handling the youth situation? And there are many who are saying no, but I would like to see something more concrete. Again, in the light of each 4 days, the number is growing by 500,000. The question is, can we do something about turning the new generation, next generation, into young entrepreneurs on a small scale? And here an interesting element, to a bit put our eyes on what is called new economy sustainability. Why? We don't have the time. My feeling is that this is an orphan area, very artificially pushed outside the real economy for reasons which experts can explain more eloquently than myself. But we should look upon it as an opportunity. Okay, it's a huge challenge, but this is an area which is less populated by the economic actors. Okay, so this is, we have two problems. One is 75 million unemployed, and the second is an area which is an orphan area. So why don't we blend the two together and try to create a merged opportunity from that? And of course the question is about, and this is a recurring question, about education and vocational training and how to do that in a more integrated and skill-oriented way. I will come back to this slide, but I would like to say that the externalities and the negative externalities are well known as a result of even the discussions of the last days. I would like to focus on the positive externalities. So for the purpose of trying to do something concrete and something meaningful, why don't we focus on positive externalities? There are many examples, especially nowadays as a result of the ICT revolution, and I call them spin-offs, okay? So for the purposes of referring to them, those positive externalities are for me spin-offs. And again, continuing with the same notion, why can't we do even within a room like that something more focused, in addition to the bigger issue, and try to figure out how to bring together a portfolio of new economy components, which could be a basis to try to do something on the positive externalities. So to create spin-offs in these areas. I mentioned yesterday in an intervention that besides very high-level motherhood statements on the sustainable development goals and the next layer of the 1D64 target, the whole effort of fleshing them out for operationalization is very haphazard. Okay, many are trying to do things, but it's a very haphazard. It's not a strategic planning type of global strategic planning type of exercise. So here you see a couple of examples which could be relevant for something which is again an orphan area beyond the realm of the, or significantly beyond the realm of the real economy, and again to focus efforts on this new economy. And the idea would be to do something which is market-based. I don't think that just handing out grants, even if they are well-supported grants by EU and other entities, might be sufficient. And to try to mitigate the consequences of what we are facing still, and boosting the economy in this new economy area with the either forces in a way that we are not, tapering is coming. It's coming in the US, and probably it will be coming in Europe as well. In case macroeconomists and financial institutions are running out of ideas and money, there will be a big problem. Okay, so this is a dilemma right now we are facing. So an alternative to easing is needed. Alternative to guaranteed minimum income as a proactive tool might be good. And again, if you concentrate some of these new economy out-of-box solutions with a massive deployment of the unemployed, why not to visualize something which is a new economy, Silicon Valley? Okay, so to focus in a certain region, and I will mention later on that one potential region is this wider region where we are going as far as Slovakia and Italy and in the east to Greece. And again, I don't think that on those new economy issues all these novel science and technology applications and solutions are in place. Okay, so again, we have the best of our society, the youngest either. Okay, and let's try to recall. Today it was mentioned by someone the top companies. Those top companies were driven by people under 30. Okay, they were driven by people under 30 to the level of 70 billion or market capitalization. Okay. Yes, science and technology and applied science and technology. Why not? Here, there is a suggestion to think in novel. I call them sandboxes or incubators. So why not to foresee that for the young and unemployed different institutions, there is a possibility created where people are brought in and they are given some physical space and they are given some mental space and they are given some mentorship. Nothing new about that. But it will have to be done based on some prototype piloting on a more massive scale. Otherwise again, we are diving. Why not to foresee a consortium of different entities? All these entities are having a huge potential of positive externalities. Okay, it's a golden mine existing there. I know from my own former organization, which I was heading, how much we were surprised by finding new applications in the context of the Fukushima disaster. Okay, and it's relevant for all these entities. It's a question of having a focused mindset and a new thinking. And of course, there are global organizations just under one of the 6 categories who can offer a lot. Why not, again, to deploy all these components together and to show that there could be a critical mass, new economy, the lost generation, okay, new applications of science and technology, and to do it in an innovative way, again, this notion of a new economy, Silicon Valley. Empowering the next generation, a do tank, creating a do tank type of thing where it's not about. I fully agree. Conceptualizing is important. It's really important to see where we'd like to go. Because of the time I see ticking out for us, I think we have to do the talk and walk the talk. Okay. Again, this is a possibility of bringing all these things together nowadays with electronic platforms, to do it in a supply side manner and do it in a demand side manner, where the community level is defining what to do. And it's important for the education and vocational training, because there is an overproduction of skills which are already non-existent. Universities are still producing graduate students whose skills are not needed. Again, integrating different aspects together. I mentioned, why not to try it out in this wider region, a flexible notion of countries from Southeast Europe and some wider neighborhood countries. And this is a very modest set of starting point. Okay, so you create a model incubator, you create a model community. It would cost nothing based on some of the discussions we had recently in Ljubljana. There are enthusiastic people. Practically, these things can be done with SIC, no money, practically, because there are entrepreneurs who would love to do that. There are universities who would love to do that. Okay. And there are countries which, like Slovenia, they are pushing the envelope. A small country which can do things others can't. So that's a possible combination of all the elements I mentioned to you: massive empowerment, next generation, new economy, entrepreneurs. It's important. novel applications for sustainability and try it out in Southeast Europe. So this is another way of use-driven spin-off incubators for sustainability. A spin-off for sustainability stands for SOS. Okay. In 30 seconds, of course, there are the traditional financing possibilities, but again, bring back this element here and bring back the next element that in a decade, in the EU, the loss of unemployment is 1.5 trillion euros. Okay? Lost opportunities. We are not speaking about the qualitative elements. So all those European Amazon inventors, what we are losing. So my feeling is that it has to be something bigger. What I put on a paper is in 10 years, 1 billion euros invested. And 1 billion euro compared to the 1.5 trillion, you have an understanding that it should be doable. It sounds a big amount of money, but again, the SOS is 600 million jobs to be created over the next decade. Okay? So unless you would like to dive further down and have this frustration level falling as the last domino, making it irreversible. If this domino force is irreversible, this is what we have to do. And on the back of an envelope, I made some calculations how much can be done with $1 billion invested in 10 years in a region like this region. There is a very egoistic reason why I presented these things, because I would need ideas, and hopefully the academy would need ideas. And again, this is how to walk the talk. Thank you so much.